Miami's Community News, South Florida's #1 source for local stories. I'm Michael Miller, bringing people together and sharing the voices, events, and connections that shape our community.
You did this morning that event. Tell everybody about it. What's next? What do we have to do?
Thank you for joining us. I'm Michael Miller, and our guest today is Dr. Dominique Leveille. Thank you for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Just to set the stage, you have your PhD, and you'll also tell us the other designations that you have.
Yes, so I have a PhD in family therapy. I'm also a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I also am a certified EMDR therapist.
Wow. People want to know why you chose this profession.
So when it comes to therapy, I feel like it's the one profession where you get to sit one-on-one with someone and truly know how they're doing. Like when someone asks you, how are you doing? The first thing we say is fine, okay, bless. That's so surface to me. I love being able to sit down and truly ask you, how are you doing? And if you need to cry, if you need to laugh or talk, I truly get to see the most vulnerable side of people.
And most people, when they go to the doctor, if you're lucky, I don't know, a couple minutes maybe. And so it really gets missed in that.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, I went to see one of my doctors. I wasn't feeling good. And I sat up on thing and put his hand on my shoulder. He said, how you doing? I said, you know what? Now that I'm here, I got to tell you, I'm feeling better. I just needed a pause.
Yes.
I'm having the whole conversation.
Yep.
He listens. And you know what he told me? Don't drink so much coffee. Right?
Simple, right?
Yeah.
But
So-
that moment helped you by him
Yes.
putting his hand on your shoulder.
100%. It was just like you could see that relief that somebody was there.
Yes.
I recently went to a cardiologist. The nurse took all the stuff. When I got to see him, you know, he sat there and he made notes. He didn't even go through the pretend part of listening to my heart or my lungs. That was
Yep.
the last day I went to.
Exactly.
That's all. I'm
That's it, yeah.
done. All right. Because if that's all he's going to do, I can go to somebody else to really spend, even if it's just a couple minutes.
Exactly.
So we have a couple things going. One, we have a huge hurricane that's up north.
Yeah.
So everybody that's been through a hurricane is feeling it.
Yes.
All right.
Feeling the
And the
anxiety.
ones that haven't are wondering.
Yes.
And then we have back to school.
Yes.
And then, so you have that stress. And then you have getting the kids to school.
Yes, the traffic stress.
So let's talk about that.
Yes.
Let's talk about the hurricanes, which are significant. Hurricane Andrew was a big one 30
Yes.
years ago. And then there have been several in the last 10 years, pretty significant, 80 to 110 miles an hour. Let's talk about the stress that causes on people.
So when it comes to natural disasters, hurricanes, those are things we can't control. We can do our best to get all of the tools that we need, all of the safety, but that anxiety that we have, we don't really know what to do with it. It kind of just lingers. It kind of pushes us to sometimes get angry, to not be able to control our emotions because we can't control Mother Nature. We have to allow her to be, and it puts us in a vulnerable place of what do I do next? Because control is so important for us as humans.
So when we think about those hurricanes, when they're aiming for us, it could it could be a week.
Yeah.
Let's look about those people with the floods. You know, God bless them.
Yes.
In Texas,
I know.
a lot of people died,
Yep. Devastating.
and it was pretty fast.
Yes. Quickly.
And there was in a couple of cabins, the counselors were able to get the kids in the rafters.
Yes.
And there were a couple of cabins they were not able to do that. Let's talk about the stress on the caregivers, the lifesavers that are there, right?
Yes.
And of course the victims. I hate to use that word,
I
but
know.
but let's talk about the people that care for the people that are under stress.
So those people are people that are most vulnerable because what they do is they put their feelings aside because a lot of those campers, they were young. They weren't very old in the sense of been experienced something like this before, but they had to put all of that emotion of fear and anxiety away in order to be there for someone else, in order to go into action. So for me, they're the most vulnerable because after that time goes by, someone needs to check in on them because now they have to get out their anxiety and the stress that they experience by having to be so strong in that moment when they were afraid.
And Doctor, let's talk about our first responders. But if we can start with the police. When they go out, every traffic stop or every second or third, there's a weapon in the car.
Yes. Yes.
And people love the police until they don't.
Exactly. It's a thin line.
Yes. Firemen, yes, they jeopardize they go out, but most people love firemen.
Yes.
They're not threatened by that at all. So let's talk about the uniqueness difference between the policeman who's worried about getting killed,
Yes.
right? And the firemen, yes, they're concerned about catching on fire,
Right.
but they always know they have a loving spot, there. So let's talk about the stress with that.
So not only are they dealing with stressors of just having a stressful job, right? Pulling someone over, entering a dangerous house, they don't know what they're entering. And in that moment, they're just jumping into action. So you have to think of them putting themselves aside and trying to do their job, and the level of stress that comes with that, because they don't know what's going to happen from moment to moment. And a lot of times when we are in those moments and the police are coming or the firefighters, we're not very vocal with what's going on sometimes. So it puts them in even a more confused state to where they're trying to do two things: handle you physically and mentally, which I feel is wrong, because police officers, their job is just to police, not to worry about someone's mental health, right? So they just need some more help.
So when we look at all this unblissfulness that people go through, so you named your firm. Tell us what you named your firm.
Yes, blisstherapy.me.
And so when you look at bliss, that certainly rides above, so many things. So why did you pick that name in particular?
Because I feel that that's something we don't give ourselves, bliss. The ability to just be okay, the ability to be in the moment with our true selves. So that's why I said it's blissfultherapy.me, because we are at the center of our bliss.
Yes.
So
like my iPhone, right? It's all about me.
Me,
right?
yes, in that sense.
I might have mentioned to you a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to interview Manis Friedman, #1 Orthodox rabbi on YouTube. And he was sitting right here. He wrote a couple books. One of them was Joy of Intimacy. I said to him, Rabbi, I was holding my wife's hand the other day, and I had this moment of intimacy, almost along that level of blissfulness.
Yes.
I said, how can I get more of that? And he looked at me, he said, Michael, it's all about them. It's all about them. That was his answer. I was waiting for the formula.
Well, the formula, that is the formula.
And he just simplified it.
Of
So
course.
you have patients that come see you,
Yes.
and people are there for a lot of different reasons. So why don't you go over some of the things that cause somebody to go into therapy?
So a lot of things that I've noticed that people deal with on a daily basis is stress, right? So that might lead you to come to therapy, but really not feeling like you have a good support. You don't have someone that you can talk to in a way that where they won't create judgment, they won't talk about it with other people. So they really seek therapy for that, to speak to someone who's outside of their norm, outside of their daily lives, to help them with understanding what's going on in their reality.
And so I think of myself and a couple people that are together. Why is it that we will say to our spouse such ridiculous stuff that you would never consider saying to anybody? I'm not talking about the love factor. I'm talking about all the other nonsense that we put on other people. Explain why that is.
Because they're the closest ones to us. And I know we should treat them the best, but sometimes the closest ones to us, we don't treat them with respect that we would treat a stranger, like you just said. Things you would never say to someone else, you'll say to them. Is because they're so close with us, they become a mesh. We become infused as one. So to you, it's, yes, I'm going to say this, but I know deep down inside you're going to forgive me because we're married and we're going to be in this. But that's kind of wearing down on the other person little by little, because like you said, you wouldn't do it to a stranger.
Yes.
So that's why we do it, because we kind of take it for granted a little.
So, and let's talk about a fireman when he goes out and the place is on fire, and they go right into the fire, and they're surrounded by fire.
Yes.
Whether it's in a house, a building, or out in the fires that were in California. Tell us what goes on in the psyche of people.
In that moment, working with first responders and working with firefighters especially, what they have told me is that in that moment, they're just trying to find and pull out, right? They're not really, their goal is to remove the people that are in danger and to get out of the building, right? That's their first thing, and to ensure, of course, the building is safe enough at times for them to enter. I think in their psyche, it's just they're trained to do this. They're trained to go into dangerous situations and to rescue people. That is in their job. So in that moment, moment, they may feel differently than you and I when we see a fire, because to them, they see the fire and they understand it and perceive it differently for them.
And when we see people that are not professionals, somebody drowning and somebody will jump in the water.
Yes.
And when they're successful, we applaud them. And then when they drown, we go, you were stupid. Why did you do that? So
Yes.
tell us about the psyche of them and the observer. And we cheer it when it's successful
Yes.
and condemn them for even trying.
Because I think as people, we want to save. We truly don't want to see our neighbor having issues, our neighbor drowning. Like, we do want to help. And sometimes we'll forget, at times, people will forget their abilities. That's why I have a video out on like people pleasing. Sometimes we say yes to so many things that we're putting ourselves out there when we truly should be saying no. Right? So someone who would jump into a water to save a drowning person that doesn't know how to swim, I would say is the definition of people pleasing, trying to help someone when you can't really help yourself. And truly in that moment, are you helping them? Jumping in when you can't swim? No, you could probably call 911. That would be more helpful, or scream for someone else who knows how to swim, right?
Yes. And the pandemic is far behind us, but are there people that are still dealing with the switch over from the isolation to?
Oh, yes.
So tell us about that.
I've seen an increase in panic attacks, an increase of communication issues. The pandemic, we're still getting kind of a ripple effect of that because we were isolated for so long. There's routines. Like, for example, there's a group of kids that never graduated from high school. They never walked across the stage. That is significant. You were just in school for 12 years, 13 years of your life, and you didn't get to do the one thing that we all dream to do, is graduate. Because when you go from elementary to middle, you're promoted. When you go from middle to high, it's a promotion. So by not having that, they've lost something, so that's a ripple effect. I've noticed that. I've seen a lack of other students wanting to go to school, not really seeing the need for it because they didn't feel completion in that area. With couples, I've noticed that for some, the pandemic brought people who would spend a lot of time apart together immediately. So they had to learn how to communicate. And now they're trying to learn, how do we go back to being individual, but still holding on to all this amazing time that we had in the pandemic when we could spend all this time together. So battling that and understanding who they are.
One of the things that I learned is everybody had their own take on the pandemic. So in the middle of the pandemic, I had somebody come over here, and my toenails are really long. I had to do a manicure, and I thought it was great. And my wife was glad I was taking care of myself until I went home. She locked the house up.
She locked that, yeah, because you had someone else touch you and breathe on you.
And she locked it. I said, I have a key. She said, I locked it from the inside. You can't get in. She was so furious.
Yes.
And so I tried to lighten it up. I took some videos. Here's my bed. She said, put your name on that bed, right? And it took about a week or 10 days, and even today, 4 years later, I think, it's still alive and well in both of us.
Yes.
And so I learned to respect people where they are, just because I think it's a big deal or not a big deal, without taking into account their feelings.
Yes.
So I think it was before the pandemic. There was a lady who had a autistic son. She was walking along the canal, threw the baby in. Probably remember the story.
I do.
Somebody sees the baby struggling. He jumps in the water, saves the baby, gives it back to the mother. 2 blocks later, she throws it in.
Yep.
Tell us about the stress that happens on families when you have somebody that needs a high degree of attention, whether it's a child or a sibling, a spouse, or a parent.
Yeah. The stress, just think of a normal stress is maybe at 100, maybe at 50 for most. It is 3 times as much when you are now the caretaker of a child that has a disability, or a parent or a sibling or a loved one, right? Because now not only do you have to care for yourself in your mental health, you also have to care for this person and also grieve the relationship that maybe that person won't have, or the normal or the as normal of a life that person would have. You're also grieving that. So it's just a lot of stress.
So often when people are caregivers, they got to steal up with it, and I can do this, I can do this. And at some point they're doing it, but it's starting to fail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But then that is even a bigger disappointment when you are trying to, when you have to be the one to care for them and you can't. And then having that person to be honest enough, like a mother, to be honest enough to say, I can't care for my child. That's major. That's a big, in our society, it's something that we don't understand.
And during that time, we realized that we have to start making choices, whether
Yes.
it's put somebody in a care facility or bring somebody to the house.
Yep.
I had the pleasure of taking care of my father for many years, I think 5. And then I get a call from a tutor that was tutoring my kids. I need to talk to you. And she brought it up because they brought it up to her. So that was the last day he was in the house.
Yeah.
And you realize, how long did I make them go through that for them to be able to say to a third party,
Yeah.
all right? And it was like, holy moly, because I'm there, I'm going to take care
Yep.
of, I'm going to figure it out, all right? No.
No.
And so I think, what do we need to do to keep checking in on ourselves when we're in that position? Because at some point, we all get
Yep.
part of that. So
I
what
would-
kind of questions do we ask
I would say
ourselves?
if you are taking care of someone else, you should have someone taking care of you, in the sense of someone that you're checking in with. If it's a therapist, if it's a loved one, that maybe they're challenging you. Like, did you have a day? Did you get to go to the pool and relax? Because we do so much for them that we forget ourselves. So there has to be someone else, because in that moment, we are truly being selfless and giving up our time. So if it's not a loved one or a therapist to remind us, hey, did you get your nails done? Did you shower today? You know, like a new mom, it's like you ask them, did you shower? I know the baby showered, you know, like someone else checking in on you to help you to make sure that you're staying as healthy for yourself so that you can provide care.
Okay. I hope the county commission listens to this and the mayor. So there have been a lot of cutbacks in charities, even though
Yes.
some of the money is getting back there.
Yeah.
And
is hurtful.
the position that we sort of have is, if we don't take care of those people that
Yes.
really need it, all right, sooner or later, we're going to be taking care of them.
Yes.
It's just a matter of whether
Just a
it's
matter of
today
time.
or tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
And so I know the people that do this charitable work, we've interviewed dozens of them, they really care.
They do.
And when that money was taken away, even though it was never promised to them,
Right.
but they have this whole organization, people relying on them to be that conduit from the food and their feeding their families to the people that are funding it. It was a devastation to hear these people.
Devastation.
Yeah.
I had clients that worked for certain nonprofits that they weren't too sure of if they could continue providing aid to the people that they were currently helping. Or I had clients that were promising housing to people and not sure if they would get that voucher, and just the level of stress I could see on my client when it's not their funding. It's not them at all. It's not their money. But the fact that they're unsure if they're going to be able to help, you can see that playing a toll on them, just really wearing on their aura daily.
In 40 minutes, I'm interviewing another group
Okay.
that's going to continue asking to get what they had last year back.
Yes.
And we understand that it's important because, we live, in an area where I'm working in an area where we have a lot of people that really need help.
Yes, we do.
And there's somebody who's been providing help to the people here, Dr. Tina Carroll Scott. She's a pediatrician.
Okay.
And 17 years ago, she gave up her practice in Bal Harbor, right, to come here to South Miami and serve the people that needed it the most.
Wonderful.
So I would always refer to her patients, the kids. She says, no, Michael, it's a family. She refers the family, where she is, yes, that one's getting help, but she's treats
treating the
all
system.
of them. And I
Yes.
think that's a thing that we have to understand better. So when these charities are providing food for the mother, the father, whoever,
Yeah.
the kids, it's that whole family unit.
Yes, the whole system gets the benefit,
Yes.
right? So when you take it away, the whole system feels the loss. It's the same with mental health. Like, we will, as a therapist, sometimes I'll just work with the child or just work with mom or dad, depending on schedule. Just by working with one piece of the pie, I'm able to touch all of them indirectly,
Right.
and it's
And
really
you
nice
know
to
that
see.
as you're doing it,
Yes,
because they get out of there, they feel better. Maybe
Yes.
there's that conversation.
of course.
So let's say that you have a couple, and whether it doesn't have to be a patient, whoever it is, and they're there and they have this problem with their spouse. How do you get them to be able to like conjure up enough energy to have that conversation that they want to have, because they've told you that I want to have this conversation? What does that conversation look like between you and them so that they'll be able to carry on that conversation?
So we might do some role play, right? So I might because I never make myself the other the other person or whoever I might make a chair, the couch, a pillow that represent that person. And I usually have my clients journal or write it out. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our brains with so many things that we want to say that it might not come out clearly enough or represent truly what it is that we're trying to say. So I always tell my clients, let's write it out. And then now you're going to say it as if it's the person. And then I'm going to try to, because we've had this relationship, I'm going to try to help you to express what it is that you truly are trying to say.
Why is it important for them to, if you will, practice or say it? Why is that important for them to do?
Because we get flooded as humans. Flooded is when our emotions take over, and then we're not coming from a logical standpoint. We're coming from an emotional place where you hurt me, you did that, that's so bad, you're the worst person ever. That's truly not getting at what it is that I'm hurting from. I'm just labeling you now. So that's why writing it down allows you to see like, oh, I'm just blaming. Okay, no, I don't want to blame him. I want to tell him this. Okay, then let's say that instead.
So often we'll see people getting awards and you see they start to tear up. If they tear up and don't talk, then it's a waste.
Yes.
You can tear up and just get through it.
Yes.
So let's say somebody's trying to get through it with you and they're starting to tear up and they sort of get stopped. What words of encouragement do you use so they can still feel it but still communicate?
You're almost there. You got it. Let your emotions flow and go ahead and speak it out. It's okay.
I'm there right now. If we weren't here, maybe I'd tell you. So
yeah. It's just re-encouraging yourself, taking some deep breaths. Some people are very emotional people, and that's wonderful. But sometimes the emotion stops the other from truly hearing you. So taking some deep breaths. Sometimes I might do some pressure points that you might want to press down on a little bit to help you with gathering yourself and grounding yourself a little bit more. But just staying in there, and I like to be a cheerleader. So I'm like, you got it. I could see it. Look at those words.
And sometimes it's been a long time since somebody heard that.
Yes. You have no idea when I tell someone I'm proud of you, how they're like, wow, I haven't heard that since I was in grade school. And I'm like, wow, well, I am.
Dr. Anna Price, former mayor of South Miami, she's passed now, and she was also a pastor, got along with her great. So she told me something about 40 years ago. And the essence of it, which I told my children every day for 30 years, 25 years, even if they didn't hear me, it didn't matter. You have all the strength and power you need.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so in that mantra, giving it out,
yes,
it also came back to me.
Absolutely.
And it's like sometimes you feel like you're down in that rabbit hole, and that I would hear that.
Yes.
I go, all right, you got it.
You got it. I could do it. I just need a moment.
So tell us why you're in therapy.
I love to help. It's at the essence of who I am. Yeah, I love to help. I don't like to see someone in need and not having a person. I feel like there's too many of us in the world for us not to have one person that we can call on for help. So that's why.
Okay. Let's get on to when people get sick, right, themselves. Let's talk about what goes on in the psyche of that person and also in their family.
So sickness it affects the whole system, right? You have the loved ones that are praying for them to stay strong, to be able to go through it. And then you have yourself that's going through it, not understanding the medical system, not understanding your body, how different it's feeling, how it's not functioning the way that you're used to, and just the level of stress and just the lack of control that we have in that moment. Our body is something that we can control. You move your hands, you move them, right? So when we get ill and we lose that ability to control, it's almost like losing it twice, right? Losing it physically, but also mentally. So it's the level of stress that just continuously builds, and it's the lack of seeing a positive end, a positive future, a way around it. So it continuously not only deflates you physically, where you just feel like, I can't. It does it mentally, and that's when we really feel stuck and unable to move.
We had the opportunity to speak to a 15-year-old young man who had cancer. And at the port up here, he wound up being like 3 or 4 years behind.
Yep.
Right? And somebody else was saying that, and it was adult, that he had something similar. And the guy took down his shirt to show he was 22 now.
Okay.
And he realized that is all consuming. And let's talk about when a severe illness is for a youngster versus somebody that's 75. Let's
Right.
talk about the big difference.
The big difference is for the youngster, their life is forever changed. For someone that's 75, we look at it differently. They've been able to live. Where when you're young, you haven't even started. You haven't even gone through life, and you're already facing an illness that is forever changed. Like, you won't be able, if you're in high school, to have, let's say, no unexcused absences, because you're going to have to go to the doctor. You're going to have to miss. You're not going to feel well. You might not be able to show up to games, to parties, so it's forever changing you, not only physically, but also socially. So having a support system, having people around you, still being able to be somewhat normal, we would say, if that ever existed, helps with keeping our mental health a little bit more stable in those moments.
And as we get older, we know more and more people are dying, or spouses.
Yes.
So if somebody dies and you go to the funeral or you see them, is there anything? Let's talk about things you probably shouldn't say.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
I have recently lost my uncle and my aunt, husband and wife. They were married 30 plus years. The things that people would say to me that I did not want to hear is that, oh, they love you so much. I know that. They're my family. I would tell you how much they love me. Maybe instead, just hold someone's hand. Touch my shoulder. Sometimes no words are the right words.
Disney, you know what the Disney rule is?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, when you hug somebody, don't stop until they do.
Yep.
So my wife and I have started that.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, about halfway through, I'm going, come on,
Let go.
And so often when somebody's, oh, I'm sorry for your loss, and it's just like worthless.
It is.
So there was a young man that I know, he lost his not so young anymore. And I just didn't want to have the conversation. I didn't go to the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
He called me out on it.
Yeah.
Right? And I should have gone. And then I said, let's have breakfast. And I went. And it was interesting because I immediately apologized. And then he said to me, if I've ever done anything to you, I apologize. Okay, we're good.
We're good. That's
Right?
it.
And it was that simple, but at the moment
Mm-hmm.
of trying to avoid that pain for him,
Yes.
and whatever pain might be there, what are you going to say?
Mm-hmm.
So, and let's talk about what people should do when they realize that they are terminally ill, and what should the family do? What's that process like?
I think once you get that news, it's really time to, if you're spiritual, religious, definitely consult with your pastor, your priest, high above, of course, and then also get a therapist for the family. Get someone who can come in, because doctors are not therapists. They're going to read you what you have, and they're going to read you your treatment plan, and they're going to tell you, have a great day, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. You need someone who's in that world who can sit with the family and say, okay, this is what this looks like. How are you going to handle not having control of your bowel movement? Who's going to help with that? Who's taking over? This is how you help the family to understand the diagnosis, and also to help the patient to see their support system in this diagnosis, because that's very important that everyone gets on board.
I was recently at a hospice facility, and so I was related, had his own children, his wife, and at some point the family went in, the kids, and they were starting him on the morphine drip. So I stepped away, all right? And I stood at the doorway, because everybody grieves differently.
Yes.
And at one point, the kids were by the bedside. I'm at the doorway. I see the wife, she's now 20 feet down. So I'm watching both things going on. And everybody had their own space.
Yes.
So what are some cues that we can catch up on when somebody is grieving about how to give them their own space?
Look at what their body language is saying. Someone who is trying to move away, someone who's being quiet and kept to themselves, you might not want to go over and hug them, because when we need someone, we'll go closer to you. Like, I remember in times I would be in the hospital and family members would come in to see my aunt, my family, and sometimes I would leave the room because it was just so much. But then when I needed them, I would stand closer. and they knew that, okay, she wants support. So it's understanding the nonverbals in those moments, because our body is going through so many different emotions that we can't speak what we truly feel because it's just so painful.
And so often people misjudge this connection
Yes.
here. And the more you're in tune to that, the better this stuff sort of combines.
Yes, the better you are to express your emotions organically, the better you are to express them truthfully once you're able to connect your mind and your body, your heart, once you're able to get them on the same page.
We're going to wrap up in just a moment. I would like you, if you don't mind, could we put the camera on her? And before you, I'm sorry, let's put it on Emily over here.
Okay.
Emily, say hi. So I'm sure you have some mentors and people that have helped you.
Yes.
All right, why don't you talk to them right now?
I would like to say thank you for everyone who has stood by me in my process, who has helped me with everything, those who are here and those who are not. You guys have helped me in ways that has helped me to pour more into everyone and has helped me to blossom into the therapist that I am today. And all I ask is for the continued support, and know that even if I don't tell you, I see you and I love you and thank you.
Wow. Dr. Dominique Leveille
Yes.
from Bliss Therapy.
Therapy.me.
Not me.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
Great job. Let's look at the camera right